Hey guys, welcome back to TOPher Drives. As you can see by the snow on my left, the dismal gray sky above me, I am back in Michigan. But at least I'm driving an F-Type. It's hard to be sad when you have a 5-liter supercharged V8 and 8-speed ZF transmission at your disposal. So I'm trying to kind of brighten myself up. And actually, as I say that, the sun is coming out from behind the clouds. So I think it's quite all right that we are back in the mitten. But I wanted to take you guys on a little drive in this F-Type today. I'm going to head up to the warehouse and get a couple things done with some personal cars. And well, I want to show you what it's like to drive this F-Type R Coupe Jaguar, as the British would say. I don't know why the Americans say Jaguar or Jaguar. I've been trying to say Jaguar as kind of an Americanized British version of the word. But anyways, let's go ahead and hop out, take a look at this thing from the outside, and then we'll go for a drive. Let you hear this magnificent V8. Pretty quiet, below 4,000 RPM, and the soft limiter is at about 3,500, so it's hard to, well, I don't want to say piss rev, but it's hard to piss rev it without it limiting you. Anyways, here it is. They call this a dark red, but it's actually brown. This is a brown car, and it's funny because we had an F-Type last year. We took it around the perimeter of Michigan for Charlie's bachelor party, and it was the same color as this, so it's interesting that Jaguar's got two F-Types in the press fleet that are the same shade of brown. But anyways, I like a brown car sometimes. It's a nice change. We don't get many brown press cars, but when you have an F-Type coming, I guess you know that it's going to be brown. So this is the coupe. This is actually the top F-Type now, I believe. It's a liftback, a power liftback. And honestly, it's a pretty usable thing. I've been living with this now for like 3 or 4 days, and it's a very dailyable car. I'm very surprised. The convertible wasn't as usable, of course, not as much room inside, but this thing's great. It's all-wheel drive, and this 5-liter makes 575 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque, so it is no slouch. It's about a 4,000-pound car, so it's not the fastest thing in the world, but it absolutely gets down in boogies. So let's go ahead and hop back in. It's actually like 40 degrees out today, which is strange. It's been like, it's 42 out. It's been like negative 1,000 the past few days, so it's nice to actually have a day where I can go outside without being in pain. The interior in this car is really nice. It's a, what do they call this? Cream or something? I don't know. The seats are really cool. They're pretty aggressive sport seats, but they're decently comfortable. These were the same seats that were in the convertible car that we took around Michigan, and they did quite well. We've got a heated steering wheel in this car, which is on, thank you. We've got heated seats, all these weird JLR climate knobs that makes sense once you live with the car for a couple of days. What's interesting to me is that the heated seats in this car, can you hear that? They actually blow hot air on you. They don't just heat up. So we're actually going to turn those off because I don't want you guys to have to listen to forced air the whole time that we're driving. Otherwise, though, not too many amenities. We've got a little console. We've got some cup holders. But that's about it. It's got just enough room for a 2-seater sports car, but really not much more. It's got a Meridian sound system, and if you want to hear that, you can head over to DM Sound and watch Charlie's review on that. We've got Apple CarPlay. Looks pretty decent, but unfortunately the actual like texture of the display makes it so that it glares pretty bad and you can't see it when it's in direct sunlight. So not the best screen in the world, but we're in an F-Type, so who really cares about that? Okay, well, let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive. You know, I don't really know what I'm doing here on this channel. I'm kind of just filming videos as I go. I really, really love the Comfort Mode series, but I have to kind of figure out what I want to be Comfort Mode and what I don't want to be Comfort Mode. This might be one, because we're just going for a casual drive, but you all will have seen my videos in California where we were driving the GT4 RS, the 911T. What else did we drive? The GR Corolla. Lots of good stuff out there. But I was just being a yabo in the canyon, so I don't know that you'd really classify that as comfort mode. I guess it's my channel, so I can classify it as whatever I want. Auto start stop, which is hilarious on this fire-breathing V8. I really love this engine because it just makes any car feel so villainous. JLR puts this engine in quite a few of their models, the F-Type, the Range Rovers, the Land Rover Defender, and it just makes everything better. What I like is that it can be quite composed and quiet at low RPMs, but as soon as you click the exhaust button, which I've already done, slap it over into sport transmission, which you really don't even have to do, but drop a few gears. And above about 3,500 is when it really comes to life. It just makes some of the most diabolical noises. It's really quick, but it's smooth quick. Yeah, this is a cool thing. In many ways, this is really like my idea of the perfect grand touring sports car because it's quite comfortable. And what I really like about this car, what I like the most, is that you can get all the noise and all the drama so easily, and you don't have to be in dynamic mode to have it. I'm just in normal mode right now. I'm not in dynamic. The only thing that it won't do is hold gears, and that's okay because I don't always need to bounce off the rev limiter. It'll only hold gears for you if you're in dynamic mode. But God, this ZF is sweet. And it'll really only give you the burble. You gotta hit it at just the right RPM. I think it's more right here. Yeah. And of course that ZF fart there between gears, it's just the best thing. And as far as amenities go, I know I touched on the interior earlier, but it really has everything you need. Heated seats, cooled seats, heated steering wheel, fully digital cluster, navigation. The only thing you are lacking a bit in this car is driver aids, but I don't want driver aids in my sports car anyways, so not really too torn up about that. Of course, this road is always empty. And we have to be behind a Grand Caravan. But anyways, you slap the stick back over into D and you're just back to real life. I mean, it's as simple as slapping the stick over, and it's very simple and livable. And this is a particularly horrible section of road, okay? And it's fine. It rides so nice. No complaints at all about the ride in this car. I think they've gotten just about every bit of damping or suspension tuning. They've done it pretty much perfectly. Oh, and I've been riding with this closed. That should be open to give you guys some more light. Huge glass roof in this car, which is pretty sweet. Brightens things up a bit in here because sometimes sports cars, especially the Supra, when they're enclosed like this and they're not a convertible, they can feel quite claustrophobic. This solves that completely and makes this thing actually feel quite open, which I do like. There are some things in here that are a bit worrying. For one, the glove box, that's controlled with a button. Just figure over time that probably just will stop working. So don't put anything of value in the glove box. That would probably be quite a bad idea. What is in there though is the Monroney, which tells you that this is $121,000, which honestly, I think is fair. Anything with this supercharged V8, expect to spend six figures on it because you can't really escape below that. Base price on this car, somewhere around 110 grand, I think. So even with no options, you're still over the six-figure mark. But even in base form, I mean, you do get quite a few things with this F-Type standard all-wheel drive. And the R, they don't do an SVR anymore. The R is the top dog. What I think is hilarious also for 2023, you can only have a V8 in the F-Type. There's no more four cylinders. There's no more V6. You can only have the V8. So Jaguar is not messing around anymore. And the only thing that worries me about that is that it's probably going to be the end of the F-Type pretty soon. But I'm very thankful to have been able to enjoy a couple of these cars over the past couple of years and really get to spend quite a lot of time in them and appreciate them for what they are. Because they are really just a proper little sports car package. And I hope this van is not turning left. If they are turning left, then we'll just maneuver around them. Doesn't look like they are. Okay. So let's show you dynamic mode here. You just hold down this little lever. We're going to go into sport transmission, but I'll leave it in automatic. You guys can see how it shifts in auto mode. there's shifts there actually when you leave it in automatic. You can see the active arrow comes up. I love cars with active arrow. That's so cool. You gotta have it in manual mode to get those burps, those farts, snarls, whatever you want to call it, between gears. It's quite satisfying. I'm a big fan of this car. It just does everything I want it to do. I mean, really. And even in dynamic mode, the ride is not super harsh. What are you doing, Trailblazer? Even in dynamic, the ride is not super harsh. But 1 click, 2 click, and you're back to normal. It's that easy. There's no weird screen you have to go through for drive modes, no gazillion suspension settings. It's simple and it does everything right. I'm really, really a big fan of this car. And it looks the part. I mean, I didn't make too many comments while we were on the outside of this thing, but it's such a striking thing. They did like a mild facelift around 2020 and just kind of elongated the front of the car, made it sit a little bit lower, and God, is it stunning. You just feel like such a villain driving this car. It's a cool feeling. That's important in a car like this. You don't really get that feeling when you're like driving a Supra or, no, what else would you compare this? I mean, I guess a Supra doesn't really compare to this because it's like half the price, but oh, the noises this makes. Quite good. Even more surprising, actually, and kind of going into the more daily driver aspect of this F-Type, is the efficiency. And I know that sounds hilarious, 5-liter supercharged V8 with almost 600 horsepower. How could it be efficient? Well, I ran the highway fuel economy test on this car 2 days ago with snow tires, and I think it was like 1 degree outside. It was freezing. And it got 24 mpg on the highway at averaging 70 miles an hour. But even more impressive is the convertible car that we were driving last year on summer tires in 70-degree weather got 30 mpg, indicated anyways, and I would suspect that to be quite accurate because it was pretty accurate with my pump readout yesterday. So, I mean, quite an efficient powertrain. This thing will just cruise at 1800 RPM and just burn no fuel. So that's pretty nice. It's got an 18-gallon fuel tank. So you can actually go quite a ways. You can go like 500 miles if you're really hypermiling this thing. So, overall, a pretty usable package. It's funny, they did actually make a manual F-Type for just a few years and only with the V6. You could never have a manual V8 F-Type, but you could have a 6-speed manual in the V6. I thought that was pretty cool. I remember going to the auto show and seeing that car. But yeah, I've got a little bit of the Michigan blues right now because we spent 2 weeks in California. This is exactly what I needed to come home to because we were driving cars of this nature all week, or for 2 weeks really, out in Cali. And just to come home to this F-Type has been such a treat. I'm happy that Charlie booked this thing for us. I love how cars can just totally brighten the mood for me. There's a nice Brembo package Mustang. Beautiful. Okay, we're gonna see if we can get a nice crackle under this tunnel, or excuse me, bridge. I don't know my words very well. I found that actually in first gear is kind of the most effective. That's another thing. even though this car is all-wheel drive, it's still sometimes a little unpredictable, and it'll step out on you, so you got to be ready for it. But I like all-wheel drive cars that have a rear-wheel drive bias because it saves you a little bit. We spent some time in California at PEC, the Porsche Experience Center, and they actually had a module on drifting all-wheel drive, and they sent us out in 911 Turbo S's and Taycan Turbos, and they had us drift in a circle, and I couldn't really get the hang of it. All-wheel drive is weird, man. it's hard to have like a continuous slide with the all-wheel drive. Obviously, the Topher, you know, got it down with no problem because he is the expert when it comes to driving, but I was starting to get the hang of it towards the end, but then my time ran out. So, racing drivers' excuses, right? Man, where was that earlier when we were under the bridge? Oh, what a thing this is. See it holding gears there in dynamic. Oh, thank you, sir. It makes a cool sound at the limiter. Yeah, this car is great. I mean, I really do care a lot about the noises a car makes, and this car makes just all the right noises. Yeah, this car has cured me of being sad to be back in Michigan, but actually, funny enough, I'm leaving to go to Denver in 2 days. And then I get back, and then I leave again to go drive the new Lexus RZ in San Diego, just like a week after that. So I don't have to stay in Michigan for too long. And I don't mind coming here for, you know, a couple weeks at a time when it's freezing, but I really don't prefer being here when it's cold out because it's gray and it's terrible. And I'm just very fortunate to have cars and to have interest in cars to kind of bring me out of that gray seasonal depression BS. But yeah, F-Type, great car. I know the Topher has a video up on this car on his channel, so if you guys want to see more, go check that out. We'll have videos on Daily Motor as well. We've got content on this car everywhere. And if you want to see content on the convertible, I think we've got, all the channels have that car as well, plus our big road trip video from Daily Motor. Yeah, what a thing. A very good thing. I'm just realizing that I'm quite hungry, and I'm realizing that that water bottle's been sloshing the whole time, so apologies for having to listen to that. It's not my intent. But we'll go ahead and wrap up here. Thank you guys all for hanging out with me here for 15-20 minutes in the F-Type. Let me know what sort of things you want to see more of on this channel. Do you like the press cars? Do you like my personal cars? Do you like the POV stuff where we just go for a drive and hang out? Do you want to see more kind of stand-up videos like I did with the ML55 and the M Roadster? I don't know. I appreciate that European cars with auto stop start shut off when you put them in park and then don't re-fire up. That is a thing that I do like. One last look at this magnificent beast. And if you're wondering why I didn't open the hood, it's because it's a pain to shut again. And 9 times out of 10, you have to reopen it and close it really hard. And I just really don't appreciate having to do that. It's just an F-Type thing. But it is such a striking car. Quad exhaust tips. Lift back styling. It's a beautiful thing. I like the styling of the hardtop, but I think I'd probably still... Well, you know what? I appreciate the usableness of the hardtop, so maybe the hardtop is what I would go with, but I do really love the convertible because you can hear the car a little bit better. But okay, cool. That'll wrap it up for us. I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you guys, and see you in the next one. Take care.